Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, we is all the pimps. From Chattanooga, we is all the pimps.
How y'all doing?
All the pimps. From Chattanooga, from Pimp.
How everybody doing out there? Waiting on my special guest to tune in. What to do, Jerry? Keisha BB, how you doing? How you doing? Got a nice one for y'all today. As always. Got a nice one as always. Waiting on my guy Eric Foster to check in from Power 94, and I think I see him. Right there.
What up, player?
What to do, E?
What's going on, man?
I'm good. Let me introduce who I got in the building, man. I got Mr. On-air personality himself, Mr. The Voice of the People, the Voice of Chattanooga, Eric Foster of WJTT Power 94. Welcome to Pimpoholic TV podcast, and how you doing, my man?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you for having me on, bro.
I appreciate you for tuning in and taking time out your day, man. So, man, you got a lot of stuff that can educate people with some of the game that you got, and also, kind of put artists up on what needs to be heard or said when it comes to radio.
Yeah.
So, first, let's go back to the beginning. This is the beginning. How did you actually get into radio, and did you know that this is something that you knew you wanted to do, or it kind of just fell into your lap?
No, man, it kind of like fell into my lap. I had just graduated from MTSU, and
Salute.
yep, you already know. And
Salute.
I was working at the health department, and I was about to go back to school because I was working up under Howard Roddy. That's when he was running the health department. So I
All right.
was getting ready to go that path. But I've always done music and stuff. And at the time, the morning show was Jasmine, who's on with DL Hughley, and I would
Okay. Oh, okay.
yeah, because she went to MTSU too, and
Okay. Salute.
I would call in and just do like little crazy voices, and I would win contests. And the rule is you got to wait 30 days to win. So I would call in with different voices, and Keith Landecker thought that it was cool. So he says, "Man, why don't you just call in from time to time, and then we could just make some little characters and whatnot." And I was like, "Cool." So I would be getting ready to go to work at the health department, but I would call in. He asked me if
I can hear you.
I wanted to
Okay.
come on for. So I
Okay.
really
Okay.
I didn't know anything about radio besides the fact that I listened to it. But then once I
Right.
got on, it was, Jasmine taught me a lot, Tony Rankin, of course, Key,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
the homie
yeah.
EJ. Yeah, so after that, man, I was hooked. But I still was,
Gotcha.
I thought it was just a cool way to get in and meet artists and whatnot. So
What
20
what year
plus
what
years
year
later, I'm
what year
still
was this
here.
when this happened? What year was that when it happened? When you
This
broke
is
into radio?
uh, like 90, 95, 94,
Okay.
95, something
Okay.
like that.
So I'm 25
Yeah.
years strong. All right. All right. All right.
Yeah,
Now,
man.
for the people that
Yeah, and
don't,
it doesn't even seem that long.
25. Yeah, yeah. You got some history. E. That's OG status right there. That's OG status, man.
I'm old as
Seriously.
hell, dog. I'm old as
Seriously,
hell.
man. Now, for the people that don't know, who we hear you on the radio 24/7. But what is your exact job title, and also what are the responsibilities that come with that job title?
Right now, man, when I started off, I was doing mornings.
Right.
So now, had some changes. So I'm doing middays on WJTT, and I am program director because it's 4 stations in the building. So I'm
Right.
program director of this station, Big 95, the 80s stuff. Like, Duran Duran, Michael Jackson,
Okay.
Morris Day and the Time, all of those
All right.
cats. So I still hold those down live, and then I'm responsible mainly for programming this, and that's just, you know, anywhere from answering emails, making sure that the imaging is good, promos, you name it. So it's about a 10, 12 hour day job.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, a lot of people, when they think of radio, of course, they see the fun side of it. I mean, they see y'all on air. They see the summer jam or the spring jam concerts. They see you with the celebrities. They see you traveling to all these award shows. That's the fun side of it. Explain some of the responsibilities that come with radio that's off air that people don't know about.
Oh man, um, just a daily grind, trying to keep up and make sure that everything is running smoothly. It's not a 9 to 5 really, because if something goes down, a computer system will go down. You're home chilling. It's your responsibility to make sure that that it's on, and you got to get up and make sure that you get down there and get everything on. Um, when I started working in Atlanta, that's when I really saw the business side of it. Because here in Chat, man, it's a mom and pop that owns this. I mean, it's still business, but down in ATL, I was working for radio. It was different. It's a whole different beat. So,
Right.
where you can get your ratings to come out and a tenth of a point. I've seen cats get fired, from a tenth of a point on the ratings. So when you start, I remember. I don't know if y'all go down to,
Politics.
if you've been and listened to Empress Cersei. I remember he was doing afternoons, and he was going up against Greg Street, and he had a
Greg.
great book. And one of the salespeople came in and was complaining about something. Now, here's the thing about Radio One, like when that was on, I think it's still on Auburn Avenue, but when you would go up, you would have your keypad and you would get into the building, and then you would have to go to one side and it was the programming, and then the other side it was sales. You never mixed. They never
Right.
mixed and mingled. So for some kind of reason, one of the salespersons got over there and she was talking to Cersei. I think he had missed a liner or something. And I mean, that was one of the most serious arguments that I've ever seen about sales and getting stuff right. I remember I got cussed out because I was reading a liner and I was saying it was a Jag dealer, and I said Jaguar, blah 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 blah, and the lady came in and said it is not Jaguar, it is Jaguar. Say it right or go back to Chattanooga. I mean, it was because the said that I said
Politics, bro.
Jaguar wrong. So it's when you're talking about that type of money, it's serious business.
Right. Understandable. Understandable. Now, I heard you say something about like basically being told what to say and things like that, and how crucial that is. Now, from an artist perspective, a lot of artists don't know the politics that come with radio.
Mm,
They think since you're their friend or they know you that you're supposed to play their song. They
mm,
don't understand the powers that be. A lot of people don't understand that radio people don't pick the songs. The owner personality is not responsible for the songs that are being played.
right.
But as an artist who wants his song on, and I feel like I know you, I think you should just play my song. That's not right that you're not playing my shit. You
Yeah,
understand what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
break down from the inside out the radio's personality to I want to play your song. Your song is hot, but it's a certain criteria that we have to go by as to why your song is not on. Kind of enlighten the artist on how that goes right there.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's been a number of times where some cats, if I really, hung out with you and was cool with you, I would play it, but I can't give you continuous rotation because that's left to. I mean, there's a relationship with the radio stations and the record companies, and
Right.
you've got to. You've there's a this is a it's a huge machine that's running,
Right.
and might have the hottest song I've heard, and I know you have too, man. You've heard some records that was like, dude, this record is banging. But if you're not in that system, then it's. I mean, all of that stuff is connected to numbers, it's connected to money, and
Right.
if you're
Right.
not in that system, it's hard to break in. But I would always. Give information. Do you have BDS on your songs? Do you? This is
Thank
for
you.
back in the day.
Thank you.
Do you have
Thank you.
BDS? Because you need to be able to track what's going on. Are people really fucking with your music, or is it just your homeboys just saying that you dope? You know what I'm saying? So you gotta bring something to the
Right.
table. I never forget when I was back working in Atlanta. This was when before Ludacris popped, and that What's Your Fantasy album. And I said, yo, man, I know some DJs, it's, up in Tennessee. I can, bring some of your records up. And he was like, for real, you'll do that? I was like, yeah. So He gave me a crate of records. I gave some to Mix and Wally and all of those dudes. But he had sold so much out of his trunk, and he had gotten BDS, people that was spinning his stuff, and radio stations started saying, well, who is this ludicrous dude? And then the next thing you know, I mean, that's when all of the labels came, and he was already making money as an indie, and got into him. Everything blew up.
Yep, it does.
After that.
Yep.
So most of these young cats now the game is totally different with SoundCloud, YouTube, all of the social media stuff. It's cats getting signed just off of that.
Right. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's one thing how you say it's totally different, because now you can do the SoundCloud, you can do the social media platform and all that. Do you think that's making, especially with you coming from the older generation, so where people had to get out and do the street work and do the leg work? Like if we from Tennessee and somebody in Florida knew our music, that's because we drove to Florida and took the shit to them. They didn't see it on the internet. You know what I'm saying? If they knew me in Memphis, they knew me in North Carolina, we actually had to drive there. Now you upload and hit a button.
Yeah.
I personally think that's making a newer artist lazy. But you gotta love the fact that they have this easy platform to go to. But like at the end of the day, I think it makes them lazy. What's your take on that? You know what I'm saying? Because we had to actually grind, and not upload.
You know what, man? Because I'm passing all of the information on to my son, who's a producer, and he's grinding and working really hard. But I just think it's just a different way to get the stuff out. You still got to work. You still got to put in studio time. You still got to have you still got to have the connections. You know what I'm saying? So it's still who knows you and who you know. But for the younger cats, hey man, this is just their new way of getting it out there. But they still gotta work. You still gotta get out and do shows. You still gotta get out and, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I know you can't do that right now, all this COVID-19 shit that's going on.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you still gotta hustle. Because it's so much stuff. My son is so much more advanced than I was when I was doing producing and stuff. That, you know, he was showing me some, hey, Dad, check this out. And he was talking about the algorithms of this, and he knows how to, make it sound, for social media, because social media crunches all of your stuff down. And then, because you say your drums won't knock if you don't mix it right, that type of stuff. So there's still a whole bunch of shit that you gotta know, and you still gotta work it out. But this is just a different avenue for these kids. I say if you know what it is, you know what it is. You know what I mean? I was talking to a comedian friend of mine. I said, man, are you going to start doing videos and, putting stuff on your social media? He's like, man, I just want to get on the stage. That's all I want to do. I was like, that's cool. But don't be upset when people are not really, fucking with you, because you what. So.
Yeah, it's definitely about that. I had my man DJ Chuck T on here the other day, and he will be what I guess will be considered a famous DJ who gets approached by a lot of artists. So I asked him, and I'm gonna ask you the same question, but I asked him, what is the main headache you get when an artist approaches you? His thing was, I hate when artists approach me and they have no direction on where they want to go. You being a radio guy, what's the biggest roadblock or the biggest thing you run into when people approach you when you're like, man, damn, not again, man? Why do I have to keep repeating this to so many people? What is the biggest thing you have to repeat to artists when you get approached, coming from a radio perspective?
When they're lazy and don't study the game. How you gonna get in the game and you don't know the game? You know what I'm saying? There's been a number, I can name on one hand the number of new artists. One of the things about Chattanooga, it's a smaller market. So when cats first get signed or they're thinking to get signed, they always come to these smaller markets, and you know this.
Yes.
And I can count on one hand the ones that was really about their business, that studied the business, because if the music business is 95% business.
Right.
The talent stuff is, dude. I've watched you work, man. From you cats just all of the stuff that people don't see.
Right.
And when they come in and all they worried about is getting money, doing this, I already know. So when they come in and they don't actually understand what it's going to take to move product, to network, even being on time for interviews, uh,
Yes.
stacking
Yes.
songs, making sure that promo is good, uh, doing what you said that you was gonna do. When the label asked you to come and do this, I was just recently. I've missed 3 interviews from one artist that I was supposed to talk to, only because I talked to his manager and he was like, "Bro, I can't find dude," and he's got one of the top songs in the country right now, off of TikTok and all that stuff. And I
I've been in
hadn't,
a situation like that with artists before.
you know what I'm saying? So you just like,
I've
all
been in a
right,
situation
well.
like that with artists before. Yeah.
But then on
Yeah,
the
that's the
flip,
worst.
I've had some cats that I was like, oh, this dude, if everything falls in line for this dude, he's gonna be in the game for a minute. So
Okay. 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 Now, here. Let me see here. Back to radio. Some of the for people on the outside looking in, give some of the pros and cons of working at the radio station. There's a lot of pros. Just give us a few pros and cons of working at the radio station.
tons of pros. If you everybody knows you get in shows, um, go to different events, hang out, all of the flashy stuff. Um,
Right.
that's a given. Free concert tickets,
Right.
backstage, that's
Right.
all of that stuff.
Right.
Um, some of the cons, man, is weird hours, um,
Okay.
covering for people that said that they was gonna come in and do a shift, and if you are one of the senior cats that's on the team, you gotta pull the weight. And I've gotten calls before, hey man, I need you to cover this shift from, to I'm a salary dude, so I just can't say, oh man, I can't, you know what I mean? I can't make
Right.
it. you
Right.
know,
Right.
you have to do that. I've had to cover for some cats. I've missed some stuff because I had to. One time I was down here just to do some little stuff and then be out, and one of the cats didn't show up. So, and one of the guys that was doing the show, he was one of the top paying clients. So he was like, you got to take care of that dude. So I had to blow
Right.
off what I was getting ready to do so that we could make it happen.
Right.
But like I
Right.
tell interns when they would come in, man, I said, you got to be willing to put in the work. Uh, you know, basic stuff, just real nigga shit. That's all.
Right. You right. Now I heard you say want some of the pros of getting in and meeting people and stuff like that. So out of all the years you've been in radio, who was the one or two people that you met when you was like, hell yeah, I met this motherfucker. Who was that? Who were you most proud of actually getting to network and meet and mingle with?
Oh man, that like really, it was really cool one time. This was now actually I wasn't working here. I was working at Hot, and
Okay.
got a chance to just hang out with Big Boy and Three Stacks.
Okay.
That
All right. That's what's up.
that was
That's what's up.
that was pretty dope. I mean, we sat and
All right.
talked about, especially Andre. We sat and talked. We was both Geminis, because first thing he saw this tat, and he was like,
Okay.
"You a Gemini?" I was like, "Word." He was like, "That's what's up." So then from
All right.
there, we just sat and was sipping on a little something something, doing a little something something, and just hanging out.
Right.
And
Right.
it
All
was
right.
just
That's
one of
what's
those
up.
surreal moments. You know what I mean?
All right.
Uh,
Shout out to Outcast. Yeah.
no doubt. Alicia Keys was cool.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, that
All
was
right.
that was real cool. The cool thing about Alicia Keys was everybody knows she fine as hell, right?
Right. Right.
And of course, when I saw her, I kind of songwriting. You'll be amazed at how dope she is. She started talking about the type of boards that she uses, some of the type of programs that she was using, with the type of mics that she was using. She was going into decibels
Oh,
and how
okay.
many, you know what I'm saying? And it went to a
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
different place. We started talking about poetry, and it was just kind of cool just to Of course, she fine as hell, but just to talk to her
Of
as
course,
a,
say that again.
and she also said that she used to downplay. She used to be a tomboy just because she didn't want cats to look at her like in a sexual way. She said, "I want people to talk to me because I'm me." And I didn't even know that she was like the graduated from the top of her class and all of that stuff. So it was just kind of like some surreal stuff, man. It was pretty dope.
Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys. That's what's up, man. I'm finna switch the shift right quick, man. People don't know what people they don't know they finna know now. E. Foster do comedy. And E. Foster tight as hell on the stage when it comes to the comedy, man. Where did that come from, man? Did you just start trying that one day, or you always been funny? Or how did the comedy thing happen, man?
It started like in 90. I started working here like 95, 94, 95. Like that first year, and this was when the comedy
Okay.
catch was on Brainerd Road, and that's why I was doing that Mr. George voice.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I
Yeah,
remember that.
and then I don't know, man. Mike Alfano, man, is he was just like, hey man, well, why don't you just do some stuff, man? I was like, all right, cool. So he had a show that came in, and it was D.L. Hughley. It was what's the cat from Living Single? He used to play the handyman on Living Single with Queen Latifah now.
Light skinned dude. That's Queen Latifah show, right? That's that Queen
Yeah,
Latifah show.
him. It was some other people on that show, and I got on the show and I opened it and did well, and then he was like, just keep coming to the comedy catch. So then after that, man, I was trying to decide, do I want to do comedy full time? Do I want to do radio full time? And I had just started both. So he was just like, well, um, you can really do the comedy stuff. He says, but I'm gonna warn you, it's a hard grind to make that money. He said, so why don't you just try it out for a little bit? And then I did. I would do shows in Louisville and Nashville and down in Atlanta, and it was hard, man. The first one I did a show in Louisville, and man, they put me in a hotel room that was so hard. It smelled like pee. It was terrible. Then he shorted me my money. So then I went back to Mike and I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this shit. He said, you just got to stick through the butt. You doing this radio thing where you're making a nice little piece of money and you can do all of that from home, and then you can just do some weekend stuff on the side. And the very first dude that put me on stage and got me my first paying gig was Henry Welch. So now he's down in
I
Atlanta
like
too.
him, man. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
him. I
So
like him. He's from out of Birmingham, I think, right? If I
he's out of
remember right. He's
Birmingham,
from out
but
of
he's in
Alabama.
but he's in
Yeah,
the A
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Henry
I
was the
like him
first
as
one
well,
that got me
man.
a show, and then I remember I opened up for DL the many times that he came, and he pretty much just blasted me. He's like, dude, what the fuck you doing? He said, you funny, man. Just get out there and do it. I was like, well, you know what, I'm still trying to do this radio thing and blah 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 blah. And he's like, all right, well, whatever. And it's just one of those things.
Yes, yes. My man E. Foster, man. Is there anything else that people need to know that you want to tell everybody before we log off here? 'Cause I want to appreciate you for checking in, but is there any last words or any last minute advice or just anything that the people need to know, man?
Ah, man, just work hard. We in crazy times. Police trying to kill us. Learn as learn as much as you can learn. Uh, you know, I know getting out and protesting, that's cool. Do that, but at the same time, while you're doing that, get registered to vote.
Thank you.
Make sure that you learn about policy. Make sure you learn about procedures. This is a real battle. In the words of Pastor Troy, and the devil got some ammo too, and that's what we dealing with. It's crazy
Vice
out here.
versa, you hear me? Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
No
Well,
doubt.
man, my dude, E.
No
Foster,
doubt.
I appreciate you checking in, man, with the Pimpoholic TV podcast, man. It's always a blessing, man. And we got some other stuff that's about to come out as soon as this quarantine is over with. You know what I'm talking about. It's finished. It's
Yes, sir.
done. All of that. I'm just waiting on everything to get back to normal so I
Yes,
can
sir.
release it, man. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I
All
appreciate
right.
you for
Well, that's
checking
what's
in,
up.
E,
That's
man.
what's
Much,
up.
much love and respect, bro. For sure.
It's all good, man. One love.
All right. One. That was my guy, Eric Foster, right there, man. Long-time friend of mine. Long-time friend. My dude, Eric Foster. Eric, the voice Foster for Power 94, man. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you always tune in when you see me go live with this podcast. You don't know who I know. Anybody could be on this podcast. Anybody. So again, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Pimpoholic TV. If you're on Instagram and Twitter, follow me at Maal the Pimp. I appreciate y'all. Much love. Holla back. Be careful out there.